107, or you want to start on the summary
I'm
page?
starting on 105, page 105, under general government, village-wide initiatives, 120,000, which is page 110, and it's a combination of 110, 11, 12, and 13.
What is, so on page 105,
The 120,000 under village-wide initiatives and capital is four items, right? It's 30,000 for the organizational review, 20,000 for the facility condition assessments, 40,000 for transportation, implementation of transportation and parking, and 30,000 for a comprehensive plan update.
I have a question about that. So is the general reserve fund also, could we take it out that we could use that for studies, marketing and studies? Remember it used to say that as a line item?
Our general fund reserves,
So I'm just wondering, I don't remember, do you remember if the
Well, I'm
president
just
took it out?
trying to wait for you
Go
to
ahead.
make sure I understand the question. So, when we closed the marketing fund, there was a certain amount of reserves that the board wanted.
Let
That's
me
not,
number, there were three things you could use the general reserves for. And
general fund reserves.
thank you, general fund reserves. One was, debt payment, another one was something else, then the third one was actually studies. But I don't know if we took that out as a board at one point, that third criteria.
That was under the policy for use of general fund
Yeah.
reserves.
Thank you.
do I have the
It's
policies
okay to
in
get
this
back to this, but I'm
document?
just wondering if so, that could be a method of funding some of this. And then the 40,000, I see you have capital reserves, and I'm trying to think of what we would use only $40,000 for, because I know we asked for it as a board, to put some money in. The more I think about it, I just don't know that would be enough to do, meters would be bonded, right? Like if we did parking meters, what would we, I guess 40,000 for striping, I don't know, whatever it could be.
Well, my thinking is, anything along the lines like parking meters is 2021, okay?
Right, and it's
We're not gonna be able to work through that post-study and actually get it going before we run into the fall. So, it's really, at this point, signage, some minor, street marking type stuff, but we have some money in street marking, so you have to kind of haggle with Public Works on, I know they've got a program for that, but, depending on where the marking is and the nature of it,
I'm just thinking, what does 40,000 buy you? We already have a budget for marketing. It wouldn't be anything new.
What's the basis for the $40,000?
we had $47,000 or 44,000 of reserves left. So I used 40 of it on that line item, simply to basically zero out our capital reserves. And the other premise is that, again, we don't have anything identified to spend that on. But we know we wanna have the availability to use some funds and still maintain the budgetary compliance, so that's.
So like
That's
if
why
we had to
we budgeted
reprogram
it.
Duncan or something, for a change in permitting, just say that was, but could we use that? It's not a capital project, it's a software maintenance issue.
That would fall into a general fund expenditure.
Right, so that's, I'm just thinking through like what could come out of that and,
Again, I was thinking mostly signage.
okay.
If we're gonna talk about changing curb lanes or some bump outs or some stuff like that, that would all, parking meters, that would take until 2021 to implement that stuff.
And software change, which
That's
is,
a lot of signage.
could be actual.
I think that when I was working through this, I was thinking, updating the master plan, we have to do organizational review. We've talked through so many times. I'd like to get that done. Transportation parking. I also thought, if we spent all this, we put a lot of money into the study. I'd like to do that. But the facility condition assessment, I'd be okay with pulling out and taking a look at. That sounds like something that we can actually,
2021,
we can do in 2021. It doesn't sound like there's any kind of time sensitivity to it. So.
unless there is there?
Again, this is in part response to some of the local legislation we've heard from elected officials that we wanna get at some of those metrics. Rebecca, what are your perceptions on that?
Well, we need, from my perspective, on that first and the village-wide initiatives need to move forward and do the organizational review. It has to get done.
Yep, that's what we're saying.
And we need to absolutely do the master plan in this next year.
Yeah. Well, if you could, maybe we could fund, if we had the staff time and we wanted, it makes logical sense to go into facilities at the later part of 2020, maybe we can fund it through reserves if we still have that policy, general fund reserves. Otherwise, you can't use capital, can you, general capital fund for any of these studies? Can you? So if we didn't do if we took out the transportation implementation,
Okay.
zero that out, so you have 40 grand in the capital reserves fund,
Mhm.
can you use that for any of these 3 studies?
Sure.
Okay. Cause I just feel, I wanna implement the transportation plan, but I think they're gonna be big ticket, I think they're gonna be bigger than, it's gonna be like, you're gonna redo the stop signage, cause I know that was a big thing when I was on public safety. If you're gonna redo those signs, it's not gonna be 40 grand, you know, I just don't know that it's enough to make a difference, the projects we would come out of it.
Yeah.
So we might, if it makes it we could reprogram them, or if the federal fund allows it, we could use that money.
Well, again, just to briefly recap from
That's what we use for the vision.
historical comments, if you use general fund reserves for capital projects, that counts against your expenditure restraint limits. The only exclusion to that is debt service.
Right, right, I understand.
Okay.
But the capital fund, capital project reserves, 40 grand that's at transportation implementation could be, moved up to cover the organizational review or the facility condition assessment?
That's correct.
So either the general fund, which you're talking about, or the capital fund reserves, both reserves funds, they would go against expenditure limit, but they don't go against your tax levy.
Correct.
So that's why I'm.
So so the expenditure limit issue is both reserve funds.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
But, you already have them programmed in.
No, it's not capital reserves, only general fund reserves.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
capital
okay.
reserves is not.
Capital reserves does not count against expenditure
Right.
restraint. Don't ask me why.
We're, I mean,
It doesn't.
I'm a little confused about expenditure restraint because, I mean, we're way over expenditure restraint right now.
You are.
Yeah, but, so I
So
asked
how-
at the very beginning of the meeting, you need to get down to 2.5% in order to meet our expenditure rates, or you can transfer money from state aids. If
But
we
there's
can't
only, there's not even that much in state aids to be able to,
It would have to come from the general fund,
what would have to come from the general?
the state aid allocation.
Yeah, we only allocated like 100,000 of state aid in general fund, whereas in
I
2
think
years ago it
it's
was
650,000. Yeah, and again,
You would have the money if we didn't
I
reduce the
can-
tax rate.
I can work it out. And I would explain the implications to future budgets once I did so, but I can work it out.
But regardless, if we got down to 2.5%, we would not have an expenditure restraint program with them.
Not
But we're,
likely.
but, yeah, well, okay, let's go through capital, but at this point, we're nowhere near 2.5%.
Yeah, well, not for
Well, okay,
expenditure
I mean,
restraints, I wouldn't want that.
So organizational, so the facility condition assessment, I mean, I'm not sure about spending 20,000 on that because I think it's something that our building maintenance people already know. So it's kind of like one of those of paying a consultant to, to tell you what time it is, to give you a watch.
Is that more for the DPW grounds and how to like, it's not just telling you what the existing conditions are, but more of how do you reprogram space? Is that correct?
That's
It
not
was,
what it
for
says.
purposes of the condition assessment, it was not a space analysis.
I would be in support of pulling that off.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so why don't we just take that off? What, Mike?
You said he would.
He's.
I would be in support of reduce.
Okay, so that's
She was-
20,000.
she's
Transportation and parking study, I mean, I would be supportive of that at like a $25,000 level, given that we don't know even what we're talking about doing here. And we don't really have enough to do like a bump out or a complete road redesign or parking meters. You know, I don't know, I'd be okay taking 15,000 off that one.
I agree.
I agree.
You could too.
I agree.
Okay. The comprehensive plan update, okay, my issue with that is, I'm not sure, we already have a CBD plan I'm not sure how much we even refer to or use the comprehensive
You're
plan.
gonna need that because you have to run new numbers and you have to do some GIS. And if you really wanna do the comp plan redone, it's one document, it's not separate and all these other ones, and it would be like $100,000 for a consultant. This was the planning commission recommended, the in-house, potentially an intern or someone else.
Either an intern or a consultant,
Or
just do the bare bones update,
Yeah,
which two other communities expressed was $30,000. I reached out
So
to
this,
them.
I prefer to even have it more, but I don't wanna waste it.
I mean, I think that's one that can wait till 2021, that's my feeling about it.
I don't think we can.
I thought it was not an option, I thought it was
It's a
a
state
state requirement.
It needs to be updated every 10 years, and so it needs to be done by January of 2021, so we have to do it next year, so we have it adopted before the 10-year
Otherwise,
expiration.
anybody that challenges your zoning can win in court, we would lose without comp plan.
If we use capital project reserves to pay for the organizational review, would that give us 30 towards tax levy, off tax levy?
Yes.
So could we do that?
So you mean eliminate the transportation altogether, the implementation, and use that funding towards the organizational?
Oops, I guess that is what I'm saying.
I'm just summarizing.
Well, it gives, we took it down to 15, so that gives us 25 in capital project to,
Well, I mean, I could see keeping it in if we use, general fund reserves for it.
Or eliminate all the money for transportation implementation and use it for the organizational
Well,
side.
I think, I mean,
That brings down
I
the
mean,
tax
that's,
levy.
we're gonna have the results and, I mean,
I think we'll receive some pushback of why did we even spend this money to do it if
we're
we're
not gonna
not gonna
implement
implement
anything.
anything.
Yeah, I
Right.
think we should do something.
So what do we say, we brought it down to 25?
Mhm.
So could we put the
So just,
15?
yeah, or 20 and put the other 20, that brings down your tax levy for the organizational study by $20,000.
I'm just trying to save you guys some tax levy. That's all I'm trying to do.
Is trustee Bachmeister on the line?
What, so, okay, so we're all, I'm getting confused, we're all agreed on the 30,000, right, for the organizational review?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, but we could use some capital project reserves towards
For
that,
Yep.
to decrease the tax levy impact.
If we take off transportation parking, we use
Use for the organizational study and you lower your tax levy by that amount.
By the 15,000 from the
Mhm.
transportation.
Or 20, correct.
Right, but I mean, we can use general fund reserves for all of it, lower tax rate, so that's,
Yes, you're absolutely correct, as long as we didn't take it out. I have this recollection that we took that third point out at some point per my request. So, anyways, if it's still in there, absolutely.
Well, we know we can get, there's an opportunity of getting 15 back
Mhm.
from tax levy.
right,
So
I mean, we're
Are
at.
we in
Well,
support of that?
we've taken out
Yes.
20 and another 15, so we've taken out 35. And then, so let's put the plan update on the list and we can talk about it later. I mean, I want it on the list.
I understand that, but I don't think that we can defer it.
There's a
You
lot of
prefer to
places,
talk
there's a
about that?
lot of places that have plans that are out of date. I mean, it's not like we're gonna immediately get a lawsuit on it, you know? I mean, how many people are beefing their zoning issues anyhow?
I do prefer to do that comprehensively over facilities. So if I had to pick one or the other, I would prefer to do that over the
So
facilities.
we've already taken the facilities off. We've all agreed to take
So I
them
guess
off.
we have to put it on the list.
Yeah,
for
that's
your
fine.
request, and then we have to talk about it another
Yeah.
night.
That's fine. But I still would like to just ask, can we do transportation down to 20,000? What's, because then you have 20,000 for the organizational
Well,
stuff.
we can put it on the list. I mean, I don't support going that low on it, but you can put whatever you want on the list.
Okay, sounds good.
And I don't support deferring the master plan. But you can still put it on the list.
All right.
Yeah.
Mike? Were you gonna say,
Where are we ending on the transportation parking input? Are we down to fifth, that's on the list?
It's either 20 or
Yeah.
25.
20 or 25
Okay,
to implement it.
all right.
okay. Should we move on to technology IT?
Wait a minute, okay, what page, I just wanna make sure I didn't skip a
Page 114.
Oh, I'm still on 106?
Well, this is the summary,
Oh, the
and these are the actual sheets.
Yeah.
So, a voting machine, I think we already committed to do.
Oh, yeah, okay, okay. You're going through the actual,
Yeah,
okay.
I know the priorities for 2020, that the agenda management software was on that, right, Rebecca? That was our priority for 20, okay.
So, I'm sorry, I don't know where we're at, I'm on page 105.
We're going through each
These
individual
are
item.
detailed sheets
The
that
detail
back up
sheets are
the
like
summary sheet.
114.
Are we gonna go back to 105? Okay.
That's just the
That's just
summary, and these are
105 is the summary, and then these are the detailed pages that support 105.
So like DPW, no, I'm sorry.
we haven't got there yet.
Not that one.
We're still on the second, under manager, we're still on that group. Okay, so I guess both of those, voting machine and agenda management software, we don't have, okay, IT network updates.
What was the 20,000 for? Does it say it in there? It does, doesn't it?
That was for the,
We haven't got there.
gotten
No,
there
the
yet.
village manager.
Yeah, we haven't got there yet.
Equipment, we haven't gotten there yet.
IT network updates, HPE data rack for village servers, I mean, this is just more IT stuff. Okay, now, anyone have any issue with IT?
Yeah, why don't you turn to page 107?
What?
Yeah, okay.
What, about what?
Oh, it suggested that she turn to page 107, if you listen out by item, versus
Oh, I see.
staying on
Thank you.
105.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Better.
It's just, it's an easier one for me to follow.
Got it.
Okay. I mean, I think if we need the IT stuff, we need it, but, okay. Alright, okay,